Okay. And I guess, for everyone's watching, there's a rare bandwagon that's moving along. Can you narrate to these guys, your shareholders and potential shareholders, that your story is different to, what we see and hear floating around now?
Well, look, it's as always. You pointed out we're diversified, so it's for the shareholders. It's an opportunity for participating in another uh, decarbonisation element. Like the boron, the tin, and so you can participate in that opportunity, and you can also be exposed to getting quite a large new discovery in what's certainly a very fast moving sector, and certainly we've most explorers have been looking for lithium or rare earths, and depending on the type of geology and what you've been picking up. In our case, if we found lithium, we obviously would have told the market that, but we've had a look, and in our case we've just simply come across the rare earth, and I think it's a space that we'd like to be in. Obviously, there's things like metallurgy is going to be pretty important. You need to get that next step, and you need to get that clear. You need to know the scale of the opportunity, the grade. Are there higher grade sections within? Or we're going to mine something quite, hundreds of millions of tons going, preferably above 1,000 ppm. If you can, that sort of scale, that's not too bad. And then the next question is, where's the source? Is there a source? Is there something at depth? At the end of the day, we simply do not know. And places that were off the radar many years ago because it was granite or it was pegmatites there, and people didn't know, and all those sort of things happen, and then people are now all of a sudden well positioned. Finding things east of Norseman, Lavota, come up with some nice hits out there, and in areas that were outside the greenstone belts, called moose pasture for one reason or another, and all of a sudden you go back and you mine the data, and usually, like in our case, government data sets, or other explorers' data sets. Maybe they're looking for, and in the wheat belt, there's a good example of that, looking in, data sets for diamond exploration, which is, you quite often got broad element suites, and you'll have your lanthanum and cerium often, and sometimes you have a bit more depending what sort of indicator minerals looking for. But the idea was never to go and look for rare earths. The idea was to look for something else, and you just see elevated rare earths for some other reason, and that gives you attraction for diamonds or other commodities, and like I said, they're just indicator minerals, not necessarily standalone rare earth deposits in their own right. And I think everyone's been doing that, and all of a sudden the rare earths aren't as rare as one would have thought, and but it's all part of this geopolitical positioning, with China controlling this the rare earths sector, having supplied, and in South China have all these clay hosted rare earths. And now Australia has an opportunity to compete for that as a different jurisdiction for other countries to buy from, and obviously our friends at Lynas have led the charge there, and I know, and like yourself, Noel, it's sort of, we've actually, that was around for a long time, that story, and then now look at it, it's a multi-billion-dollar company, so very successful, but it took Siemens to give them the money to go and build the assets, secure the offtake. Obviously, they went to Malaysia to go and build the plant, and the rest is history now. And they're making good money out of their clays components sitting above their carbonatite, which was the source in this particular case. So, people often go looking for carbonatites or even alkali-rich intrusions, which are known to contain these hard rock sources. But it's like this clay, call it gold supergene type, analogy, the lower hanging fruit, which you can go and make the money to build your plant to go and maybe process the hard rock product later on down the track. So it's the race is on, if you like, to get the best asset, and we provide shareholders a seat at the table there, and which looks like a pretty exciting ride, and I think hopefully will be similar to what the lithium players and explorers have been going through.